The camera opens on a gray, misty morning. A frail old man in a worn military jacket kneels at a gravestone that doesn't belong to anyone he knows. His trembling hand places a single white rose against the marble. The inscription reads, Emily Carter, 1995 to 2022. Beloved daughter, forever miss. He whispers something no one can hear. Then, out of nowhere, a voice breaks the silence. Why are you touching my daughter's grave? The camera panned a woman in her 40s, red-eyed and furious, standing behind him. If this story moves you, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Moral Avenue. Together, we can remind the world that compassion still matters even when it comes from a stranger. The man's name was Henry Lawson, a 78-year-old retired veteran, living alone in a small apartment near Chicago. His wife had passed away years ago. His only son, Daniel, hadn't spoken to him in nearly 2 decades. Every morning, Henry followed the same quiet routine: black coffee, morning walk, and a stop at the cemetery, not to visit anyone he knew, but because the silence there felt honest. He'd seen Emily Carter's grave by chance. Fresh flowers, worn ribbons, and a picture of a smiling young woman with bright blue eyes. Something about her face reminded him of his late wife. He didn't know why, but he felt drawn to it as if he owed her something he couldn't name. So every week, he brought a flower, white, for innocence. The groundskeeper had asked once, "She's yours?" Henry had just smiled and said she could have been. He wasn't visiting out of curiosity. He was visiting out of guilt. Years ago, while serving overseas, Henry had written letters to families of soldiers who never made a home. Emily's father, Sergeant Carter, was one of them. Henry had been the one to zip his body bag. He remembered the look in the man's eyes, the regret, the unfinished sentence about his wife and unborn daughter. Henry had promised himself that if he ever found her, he'd tell her father was brave, that he didn't die alone. But time got away. The guilt never did. The morning the family arrived, Henry's routine shattered. "Who are you?" the woman demanded, her voice trembling between anger and confusion. Henry rose slowly, leaning on his cane. "I meant no harm. My daughter didn't know you," she cut in. "You shouldn't be here." Behind her stood a man in his late 20s, tall, defensive, and a younger woman clutching a bunch of lilies. Emily's family. Henry apologized softly and started to walk away, but something in his eyes made the mother pause. That evening, she couldn't shake the image of that old man's grief. He wasn't some stranger sightseeing a graveyard. He cried the kind of cry you can't fake. The next day, when she came back, his rose was there again. White, perfect, freshly laid. She started asking questions. The caretaker told her Henry came every week. Same time, same rose, never missed. He's polite, ma'am. Quiet. Talked to her like she's his own. The mother, Linda Carter, was torn between fear and curiosity. Who was this man? Why did he care about Emily? She decided to confront him again when she saw him the next morning, sitting on the bench facing Emily's grave. She approached cautiously. "You knew her father?" she asked. Henry looked up, surprised. "How did you know?" Her expression softened. "Because you said her name like someone who'd carried it for a long time." Henry's eyes glistened. "I served with him. Sergeant Carter saved my life. I owed him more than I could ever repay." Linda felt her throat tighten. "You were there when he nodded. He talked about you, and the baby he'd never meet." Tears fell freely down her face. That baby was Emily. The silence that followed was heavy. 2 broken lives connected by loss neither had healed from. But Henry wasn't telling her everything. Not yet. A few weeks passed. Henry became like a family, bringing flowers, sharing stories about Emily's father, and helping around the cemetery. For the first time in years, he felt needed. Then one rainy afternoon, while Linda was sorting through old boxes, she found a letter yellowed and unopened addressed to Henry Lawson. It was from her late husband. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. "If you're reading this, Henry, it means I didn't make it. Please tell my wife I love her. And if my daughter ever finds you, tell her she has a brother. I wasn't the man she thinks I was." Linda's heart dropped. brother? She dug through old files, piecing together what little her husband had left behind. Adoption records, a birth certificate, a name, Daniel Lawson. Her eyes widened. That was Henry's estranged son. Everything clicked: the old man's guilt, his devotion, his silence. Emily wasn't a stranger. She was Henry's granddaughter, his son Daniel. The boy who'd cut him out of his life had been the one her husband saved decades ago. The twist of fate was cruel and beautiful at once. Linda felt dizzy. The man she'd once accused of trespassing had been unknowingly visiting his own blood. The next morning, she drove to Henry's apartment, letter in hand. But when she arrived, the door was slightly open. Inside, the old man was sitting in his chair, clutching a photo of Emily, a faint smile frozen on his face. He was gone. The rose on his lap was white. Linda buried Henry beside Emily, under the same tree. The cemetery had never felt so quiet or so full of peace. She didn't tell the rest of the family the full truth. Not yet. She wanted them to see how one man's guilt turned into an act of love. But at the funeral, as she placed a letter on Henry's casket, the wind caught it scattering the pages across the ground. A young man nearby picked one up. He looked at it confused, then whispered, "Dad?" It was Daniel. He had come to make peace with his father, unaware his daughter had been buried just yards away. The scene ends with Daniel standing between two graves, his father's and his daughter's tears streaming down his face as the camera pans out to the gray sky. Then, a faint whisper, "Emily?" Daniel turns. Someone or something stands at the edge of the cemetery road, just watching. The screen cuts to black. To be continued. Moral: sometimes the souls we think we've lost lead us back to the people we were meant to forgive. If this story shook you, make sure to subscribe to Moral Avenue, where we uncover the truth behind love, loss, and redemption. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to Moral Avenue, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us continue spreading stories that inspire and heal. Before we end, I have one special request. Comment below what would you have done if you were Emily's mother that day. Thank you for watching Moral Avenue.